If you are looking for a new job today, artificial intelligence will very likely influence your search. Artificial intelligence tools can determine what postings people see on job search platforms and decide whether to pass your resume to a company's recruiters. For example, a prominent job matching algorithm was found to disadvantage women by adjusting its recommendations based on gendered behavioral patterns. The system referred more men than women for open roles simply because men are often more aggressive in seeking new opportunities. The company, LinkedIn, eventually overhauled its algorithm, a decision influenced by emerging EU and UN anti-discrimination guidelines. This case, along with a similar 2019 scandal where Facebook's ad delivery system showed gender and racial bias by disproportionately showing high-paying job ads to men, highlights a systemic problem. These were not isolated glitches, but rather demonstrations of unregulated AI systems that we, as a society, have increasingly come to rely on. Imagine an artist's canvas, blank, unbiased, waiting for the strokes of a brush. Now, consider AI as this canvas and our data as the strokes. Every piece of information and every interaction acts as a brushstroke, painting a bigger picture. For AI, data is the brush and palette. AI systems learn from the information we feed them. They are neutral in their core, devoid of intentions or emotions. Feed them biased data, and they reflect those biases right back. Now, imagine a child learning a language. The words they are exposed to shape their vocabulary. Similarly, AI models not only absorb but can also amplify the patterns present in their training data. This absorption ranges from simple misunderstandings to critical, life-altering errors that can entrench inequality on a scale never before seen. While the core of AI may be neutral, the world it learns from is not. These learned biases become glaringly apparent in the practical applications, with measurable and harmful consequences. The issue of bias in facial recognition technology provides a powerful and well-documented example. Foundational research from MIT revealed the staggering disparity in the performance of commercial AI systems, finding error rates of up to 35% for dark-skinned women compared to less than 1% for light-skinned men. Such failures are not mere technical shortcomings, they represent a fundamental crisis of equity. When this flawed technology is deployed in law enforcement, it can lead to wrongful arrests and the reinforcement of historical policing biases against minority communities. In daily life, it can result in exclusion from accessing buildings, participating in online exams, or even unlocking a personal device. It creates a form of digital redlining, where the coded gaze of a system effectively renders certain demographic groups invisible or misidentifies them, perpetuating their marginalization. The challenge of bias has evolved and intensified with the rise of generative AI. A 2024 UNESCO study exposed alarming gender and racial bias in large language models, the engines behind popular chatbots. It found that open-source systems, such as Llama 2, showed greater bias but offered the crucial advantage of transparency, allowing researchers to audit and mitigate their flaws. Conversely, the inner workings of closed proprietary models, such as GPT and Gemini, remain opaque. This black box problem concentrates immense power within a handful of large technology corporations, making it exceedingly difficult for independent researchers, regulators, and the public to scrutinize their behavior or hold them accountable for the biases they propagate. This lack of transparency conceals the mechanisms by which harmful stereotypes and misinformation are perpetuated on a global scale, posing a significant risk to public discourse, social cohesion, and democratic integrity. The consequences are most severe when biased AI influences critical decisions in sectors such as healthcare. In one of the most significant documented cases, a healthcare risk algorithm used to guide care decisions for over 200 million Americans was found to systematically favor white patients over black patients with the same health conditions. The flaw was not born of malicious intent, but of a profoundly flawed assumption embedded in the data. The algorithm used a patient's past healthcare spending as a proxy for their health needs. This failed to account for the systemic reality that black patients often spend less due to socioeconomic barriers, unequal access to insurance, and a well-founded historical distrust in the medical system. The result was that healthier white patients were often deemed higher risk than sicker black patients, leading to the latter receiving less proactive care and facing measurably worse health outcomes. Recent UN reports confirm these dangers, highlighting how generative AI and facial recognition tools continue to perpetuate existing racial bias in everything from public service delivery to judicial outcomes, institutionalizing discrimination at speed and scale. The influence of AI extends beyond fairness and ethics into the very structure of our economies and workplaces. The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025 provides a stark forecast of the transformation ahead. Based on extensive surveys of over 1,000 firms across 22 industries and 55 economies, representing 14 million workers, the report projects that AI and automation will transform 86% of businesses by 2030. This is not a distant future, it is an imminent reality, with 60% of employers expecting AI to reshape their workplaces significantly within the next decade. This transformation presents a paradox of job creation and displacement. The WEF predicts that AI will create 170 million jobs while displacing 92 million globally. This net gain of 78 million jobs masks a monumental challenge of workforce transition and a looming skills crisis. The jobs being created are predominantly analytical, technical, and managerial, requiring expertise in AI, data science, and systems thinking. The roles being displaced are often administrative, routine, and clerical. Without robust ethical frameworks and massive proactive social investment in reskilling and education, this disruption could dramatically widen the gap between the skilled and the unskilled, exacerbating existing inequalities. The need for governance is therefore not merely to prevent algorithmic bias in individual decisions, but to manage a society-wide economic shift. It requires policies that ensure the benefits of innovation are shared equitably and that strong social safety nets exist for those whose livelihoods are automated. Industry leaders at Davos 2025 acknowledged this, agreeing that governance is essential to address fairness and privacy as AI adoption surges in both developed and developing economies. For years, the entrepreneurial spirit has driven innovation. Yet, with technology advancing at a pace where even its developers admit they do not fully comprehend why AI systems behave in certain ways, we have reached a critical turning point. We would not fly on an airplane that has not been approved by aviation authorities or take a drug that has not been rigorously tested. The tragic crashes of two Boeing 737 MAX planes due to software flaws and the devastating birth defects caused by the inadequately tested drug thalidomide in the 1950s are stark reminders of the dangers of prioritizing profit over safety. AI systems, which influence life and death decisions, demand the same, if not more, rigorous evaluation. Recognizing this, policymakers and global bodies are finally moving from principles to enforcement. The European Union's AI Act, effective since February 2025, is the world's first comprehensive and enforceable legal framework for AI. It establishes a sophisticated, risk-based approach with a tiered penalty system that demonstrates its seriousness. Fines can reach up to 35 million euros or 7% of a company's global turnover for deploying banned practices, 15 million euros or 3% for other significant violations, and 7.5 million euros or 1% for providing misinformation to regulators. Its prohibitions are specific and targeted at the most critical human rights risks, banning practices such as biometric categorization based on sensitive traits and real-time emotion recognition in the workplace. The Act mandates a staggered implementation requiring general-purpose AI models already on the market to comply by August 2027 and establishes national competent authorities in every member state to ensure the rules are actively enforced. This regulatory momentum is global. In November 2021, 193 UNESCO member states unanimously adopted the recommendation on the ethics of AI, a standard now being put into practice worldwide. UNESCO's AI ethics toolkit is being utilized in public sector programs in countries such as Chile and Italy, where its adoption has significantly enhanced public trust and improved project success rates. Furthermore, over 60 countries have participated in AI readiness assessments under the EU UNESCO frameworks, signaling a worldwide move towards structured oversight. This is crucial, as global confidence in AI is fragile and uneven. Only 44% of citizens globally express trust in the technology, a figure that drops to 35% in the US, but is much higher in developing nations like India, 77%, and Nigeria, 76%. This disparity may reflect a greater perception of AI's potential to leapfrog legacy infrastructure in the developing world, in contrast to growing concerns over privacy and job loss in the West. The United Nations echoes this cautious optimism, estimating that AI can help accelerate 80% of its sustainable development goals, provided robust governance is in place to prevent it from creating new forms of discrimination and inequality. Despite these foundational frameworks, the journey is far from over. The gap between stated corporate principles and tangible action remains a significant hazard. These initial regulations are a vital starting point, but they are not the final destination.